Hello, world. It's Carole from Viva Vacation, and I've got my husband Bernie with me.
Hi, everyone.
Today, we're going to be doing our sixth and final podcast of our 30-day European adventure. And wow, what an adventure it has been! We closed out our vacation with the wonderful City of Light, City of Love, Paris, France. And of course, Paris did not disappoint as an endpoint for us. We spent 3.5 days in Paris, and we had decided ahead of time that we would not book a lot of tours or
Museums or
museums. We would walk a lot in Paris just to get a better sense of the city and see the sights from on foot, I guess.
yeah, we wanted to really be able to explore the city, walk around it, because that is one of the great ways of seeing a city. I mean, we talk a lot about bike rides, but walking is also a great way to see the details of the city and explore streets that look kind of interesting. And oh, let's go down that way. Let's take a look and see what's there. So I think we wanted to do some of that in Paris and just soak in because it's so big and majestic, and the buildings are works of art, really,
Yeah.
inside and out. So we really wanted to just see the city from that perspective for the most part. We did do a couple of really interesting things, though.
Yeah. So the first half day, I guess, was a transition because we were flying from Athens to Paris. So we got in probably around 2 or 3 o'clock. I think it was about 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Um, and basically, we settled into the hotel and we walked around our neighborhood.
Yeah, got familiar with the neighborhood, stopped in for a little bite to eat at a little local restaurant, and had a drink on the outdoor patios in Paris, of course. All the patios are facing the street on the outside, so people sit side by side and watch the street and watch the people. So, of course, that's a big element of Paris life, at least in downtown Paris. So we wanted to get that off right away. So we did that the first night.
Yep. And then our first full day, I think we went all out, maybe a little too much. On this day, we calculated around between 18 and 20 kilometers in total.
Yeah, we did a big giant loop of the city, all the big major areas, and walked along the Seine. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, so the things we saw on the first day walking all this time, so we saw the Pantheon, we saw the Notre Dame, which is currently closed because it had a fire, I think, in 2020. They are working on reconstructing it, I guess. They're hoping to get it ready for the Paris Olympics in 2024. Not sure if they'll reach that objective or not, but we saw the outside of the Notre Dame. And like Bernie mentioned, we walked along the Seine for a very long time, and this was beautiful. Like it was building after building of beauty. And it, like, we'd stop and like, oh my, what is this building? And it was just like
Some government building.
some government building, and
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. And even the bridges, like the statues and anyway, everything was so beautiful. And then we kind of ended our day at the Eiffel Tower, which was, it's the icon of Paris.
Yeah, we took some great photos of the tower along the way as well, the different angles, and spent a little bit of time in the outdoor park there, and just took some photos and just sat down and just kind of relaxed and looked at the Eiffel Tower as well. So, and of course, stopped in the local areas and had a bite to eat and some croissants and a very expensive bottle of water and a cappuccino.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's a tourist area, so things are a bit overpriced. But yeah, beautiful day walking, just seeing the city, and we were pretty tired after that long day, but well worth it. Just really getting a big glimpse of the city, and so many great photos. I can't wait to look through all my photos, and
Yeah.
and they'll trigger some great memories of buildings and what we saw.
So yeah, so at the end of that day and during that evening, we decided to go for a foot massage. We thought it might be preventive. Uh, it was actually a Thai massage place, really sharp little boutique massage place in just next to the Pantheon. Anyway, it probably wasn't enough of a prevention because we definitely felt the all those kilometers on the body the next day.
Yeah, definitely.
um, and the next day was actually we had booked tickets to go to the Louvre. We weren't feeling 100% because of the heavy day before, but like good tourists, we hunkered down and went and visited that wonderful, wonderful museum.
Yeah, the Louvre is, what can you say? It's just so amazing from just the grandeur of the outside of the building, that big kind of rectangular building, and then the beautiful kind of pyramid as the entrance. And yeah, long lineups, but it went relatively quickly. We had tickets for a specific time. I think it was 11:30. So once that started moving, it was a fairly quick entrance. And yeah, we did a walk through the Louvre, saw some great artwork, some great statues, just a beautiful, beautiful building. Went into the hall with the Mona Lisa, saw the Mona Lisa
From afar.
From afar, there was a long lineup to go see, and we decided that we'll forego that huge lineup that really wasn't moving. I think people got in front of it and stayed there quite a while. So, but we explored the Louvre and saw all the sections, and just wow, what the artwork, the statue, the building itself, it's just spectacular.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of people, so you have to be prepared. This was on a Wednesday, I think it was.
Yes, and it felt like, if I'm comparing crowds, like the worst crowd probably would have been the Vatican, but this was a close second.
It was a close second, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
As far as crowds goes.
Yeah, so we still ended up walking, I think, about 12 kilometers that day. So, but not as much as the day before.
Yeah. So I think that night we took it easy. Had a great supper in our neighborhood.
Oh yeah, that's right. I had that great wok meal. Thai noodles, and yeah, that was good.
Yeah. So we got prepared for day 3. Day 3, we decided to do something outside of the city, not very far from Paris, and visited the Chateau Versailles. It was about a 15-minute train ride, very easy to get to, and I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't really know what to expect. Our son and his girlfriend had gone in earlier May and had really liked it, so we decided to try it as well. But it's basically a royal palace.
Yeah, King Louis XIV.
Yeah,
he had it built in the 1600s, I think, and it was his residence, and it was just room after room after room of amazing paintings and portraits and paintings of battles and Christian religious symbolism, and the marble. I think I've never seen so much marble in one place in my entire life, and gold kind of laminate chandeliers. It's just it's so impressive, so majestic and huge.
And it was like, we saw a lot of palaces in London, and this one in comparison felt more extravagant.
Yeah, more like opulent, just bigger and richer and more ornate.
Maybe it was not as old. I don't know. I don't remember the years of the ones in London, but anyway, it was grand. Some of those rooms were, you could kind of just stand in the middle of it and just look around, and it's like, wow.
Yeah. Again, a lot of people, big crowd there as well.
But it was weird, that one, because to get into the smaller rooms, you'd have to funnel through a lot of people. But then when you got into a much bigger room, it didn't feel that bad. So it was kind of, it was a bit odd in that sense. But the gardens in Versailles, they have the most amazing gardens outside that goes on forever.
It was huge, yeah.
I mean, have a look at the pictures on our site, and it's like amazing.
Yeah, and you can actually rent a little golf cart and go drive around. We didn't do that, but you could go drive around. But it's so extravagant and just immense. And then there's like lakes and ponds throughout, and There's apparently an light show in the evening as
on
well.
Saturday.
On Saturdays, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just want to go back to the palace for a second. One of the rooms that particularly struck me was the hall. I think it was called the Hall of Battles. So it was this really, really long hallway with these immense paintings on each side that show one of France's battles or wars throughout their history, starting with the defense of Paris against the Normans, and then it goes on to scenes of Napoleon, and it's just kind of organized by historical date, but it's just a neat kind of walk through the history of France and kind of warfare in paintings. Beautiful, giant paintings. It was an interesting room.
It was really like to see the sequence, I guess, of the different battles and
yeah.
So after we went to Versailles, that was still a long day. I think it was around 4 o'clock when we got back. So we took a little bit of a break at the hotel to recharge. And then we finished things off by going to the Arc de Triomphe. We walked the Champs-Élysées after that.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. That was a Paris kind of must-do. L'Arc de Triomphe, of course, is an amazing structure, and the chaos around it. It's also
yeah.
it's also a big, giant, heavily trafficked Paris roundabout
with no rules.
With no rules, yeah. So people just kind of drive, and then you see this weird tourist trying to run through, and oh my God, it's just crazy. Then you get the bikers trying to go through to the middle, but it's just a sight to behold, and it's a beautiful kind of piece of architecture as well. And there was something going on there that night when we were there. There was a lot of police presence, and then it turns out there was going to be some sort of looked like a military parade of veterans, because they were all kind of lining up. They had their uniforms and the flag, so I think there was going to be some sort of marching veterans parade. But we walked down Champs-Élysées, as Carole said, and that is a very heavily tourist place, but a very high end. So they had the Louis Vuitton shops and the Christian Dior and all those big high-end designer brand stores there as well.
Yeah, we could only afford to look at the storefront.
Yeah, so but lots of beautiful people walking around with their shopping bags, and we stopped for a bite to eat there. I had a great meal, and Carole had a not so great soup, but that's part of the Paris experience, I guess. And so we walked there, and that was kind of like the bookend to Paris.
To Paris, yeah. And to our European adventure. So a great way to finish it off. So what are your I guess your takeaways from Paris?
Oh, Paris. I mean, I've always had a special, being French, I've always had like a special place in my heart for Paris. I've been here before with a group of friends. It was like a great experience. So I still have so many fond memories. And but I think it's a city that is so traditional. I mean, it's modern in a lot of ways, but it still has that very traditional lifestyle. People still get their local food and bread in small little shops near where they live. They go to their local cafe, resto, bar in the evening, and they sit there and they talk, and you hear people like always engaged in conversation over drinks and over smoking. A lot of people still smoke in France.
Yes, that's for sure.
So that was definitely something that we observed as well. But I mean, I think Paris hasn't changed a lot. Of course, it's modernized, but the buildings are still the same, and the culture is still very much as it was a long time ago, 20 years ago. It's still kind of that same cafe street front atmosphere where people go there and meet and talk and engage in ideas and share what's going on in their lives. So yeah, really, Paris has everything.
Yeah, it's definitely a vibrant city with a lot of neat architecture and buildings. I mean, if you can't find a place to eat here, there's a major issue. You have a major issue, I guess. Lots of little boulangerie, which I loved. But there are the driving. I could never drive.
It's chaotic.
It's chaotic.
Yeah.
It's chaotic. And they all honk, they all cut in front of each other, they all swear at each other, and you're in a vehicle, a cab or a Uber or whatever, and you're like, it's almost claustrophobic because there's a motorcyclist, a, a bike person, there's a pedestrian, there's other cars and buses, and they're all want to get into that lane. Anyway, it's been that part has been an experience for sure. But I definitely leave with very, very fond memories of Paris. Um, Beautiful city.
Yeah, beautiful city. Yeah, I heard that's the best way to describe it. It's just so beautiful, and it's just so big. Like things are big, like the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, the museums. It's the buildings.
Even the Notre Dame. We didn't get to go in, but you could feel how big and grand it would be if we could.
Yeah.
So Paris wrapped up 30 days of vacation. It was the longest we've been on vacation before. It was a trip of a lifetime. We did definitely checked off a lot of bucket list destinations and sites.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a while to process everything that we've seen. I think as we go through all our photos again, and it'll kind of trigger some memories and some flashbacks to what we saw. But it was so much and so fast that it was hard to kind of take it all in. So I think looking forward to getting home and then just kind of reflecting on the process and everything that we've seen. But it was just so much. Wow.
Yeah, we did a lot. We talked about this yesterday. We should have noted all of our steps or kilometers from the start. We didn't do that, didn't think to do that, but it would have been interesting because we did a lot of walking in those 30 days. But it was an amazing trip. For us, travel is an important part of our life. We make traveling a priority. Obviously, we can't do these types of trips every year. But one thing remains sure for us. We love to travel, but I don't think there's any other place in the world that we'd rather call home.
Than where we live. Looking forward to getting home now. It's fun to travel. It's fun to get away, and but it's good to come home. And I think that's a good sign that you're happy where you live. And I think no matter where you live, I think each place has its charm and beauty and advantages. And I think having a good place to live in is important in life. Great to visit other places, but it's good to return home.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening in to our Europe Adventure podcast, all 6 of them. Viva Vacation will be returning with normal podcasts in the next month or so. So please tune in for that. But until next time, Viva Vacation.
Bye everyone.